Welcome everyone out to our regular council meeting for Tuesday, October 21st. I'd like to start off with the Lord's Prayer. Anybody who wishes can join me. Please remain seated. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Dean, call to order, please.
Mover and a seconder, please.
Jennifer and Alan.
Moved by Councillor Gauthier, second by Councillor Wren, that the regular council meeting of October 21st, 2025 be called to order at 5:30 p.m.
All in favor? Carried. Roll call, team, please.
Mayor Bennett.
Present.
Reeve Watt.
Present.
Councillor Gauthier.
Present.
Councillor Hewitt.
Present.
Councillor Hughley.
Present.
Councillor King.
Present.
Councillor Wren.
Present.
All members present.
Thank you. Confirmation of agenda.
Moved and seconded.
Betty and Wendy, please.
Moved by Councillor King, second by Councillor Hewitt, that the agenda of the regular council meeting of October 21st, 2025 be approved as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Any declaration of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Minutes and notes for September 23rd.
Moved and
Alan and Keith.
Moved by Councillor Wren, second by Reeve Watt, that the minutes of the regular council meeting held September 23rd, 2025 be approved as presented.
All in favor? Carried. For October 7th, Brian and Jennifer.
Moved by Councillor Hughley, second by Councillor Gauthier, that the minutes of the council and committee meeting held October 7th, 2025 be accepted by council, and that the resolutions from that committee become resolutions of council.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, down delegations, Stacy Foley.
No,
No.
yeah, she's not able to attend.
Oh yeah, just charity, right? Okay,
Yeah.
not just charity, but charity. Welcome, Charity Council.
Thank you, Township Council, everyone that is.
Oh,
Oh, your mic, please push the button there. There you go, thanks, Jerry.
Thanks. Thank you, councilors, mayor, everyone that is in attendance here today and online. It is greatly appreciated, and I'm just a humble servant. I'm a vessel today, so. Unfortunately, Stacy is not here with me, but I am going to read off some of her notes just so that she is just as well in attendance here. So my name is Charity Parisian. I'm an environmental technician. You can actually skip to the next slide. So I'm here today because on August 1st, the Ministry of Natural Resources announced that they were going to be doing a glyphosate spray over the healthy crown forest here in Renfrew County. It's the first time that they've sprayed via a helicopter, and I'm just going to talk about what glyphosate is, and we're just going to get rolling. So it is a common herbicide. It's used to kill competing vegetation so that all of the conifer trees can actually grow up faster with less competition of any of the maple trees. They just get a good start. With that, it doesn't have the diversity in the forest. So it was approved by Health Canada. It's been under serious conflict since the early 70s, but obviously there's a lot of chemicals that have been in the private and industrial sector since the 70s that have also had their own conflicts. So it's under scientific challenge. There are a lot of case studies. There's a lot of legal class action lawsuits, a lot that have to do with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I wasn't able to include a lot of cases. I do also have only so much time, but I want to reaffirm that there are over 40 countries where the use of glyphosate actually is banned. Quebec banned it back in 2001, and they do have a very much thriving industry. Sorry, Councillor, would you mind being able to sit back just a little bit? Thank you so much. Next slide, please. So it's used in forestry to eliminate the hardwood trees and kill that competing vegetation. We all have raspberries and things that grow in our backyards. We know how difficult it can be. But as I said, it's basically it's cheaper than hiring brushing crews or those alternatives. It's a lot more work to collaborate with other companies to collaborate. But the industry does claim a profitability boost because it's so cheap. Next slide. So the risks to the environment actually are huge. You've heard of forever chemicals. Glyphosate is a forever chemical, and I don't want anyone coming in here and telling you that these chemicals only last a year or two. They do not, which is why one of the case studies that I did include shows that there are traces left in plants even as far as 11 years. So the whole idea is that they're spraying the tops of these trees, and everything is it's to kill all of the trees on the ground. But if the whole intent is to kill, you're not only going to be killing the competing vegetation on the ground, you're going to be affecting the soil, you are affecting the water, and there's a long-term persistence in ecosystems because, as everyone knows, nature is very sensitive. We talk about the food chain. If we pull one thing out, well, everything gets devastated after that because somewhere there's a compensation. So this harms birds, foxes, owls, fish, and pollinators. We know that right now we're struggling across, honestly, across the world, but specifically to Canada, with fish and with bees. And that's a very important thing to keep in mind. Next slide, please. So how it breaks down in aquatic ecosystems. So as I said, the whole intent is to kill off these competing species. So that in turn, despite there being buffer zones, it's very hard to move through humidity and with wind. So what's actually happening is when these are reaching water, and they do reach water, the aquatic plants are also being killed. But the main thing is that when it is touching the water, there's something called dissolved oxygen. So it's just no different than us. Fish also need to breathe. And what happens is when chemicals are put into the water, it eliminates the oxygen in the water, and it reduces natural photosynthesis. We know that plants are here to create oxygen to help us breathe. It's no different in the water. And it's not just that. There are also toxic additives that are in these aerial sprays, something that's called surfactants. And it's worth noting that in the Petawawa Town Council meeting, where Ottawa Valley Forest was presenting, they were asking, one of the councillors was asking some really, really wonderful questions to the general manager of Ottawa Valley Forest. And in regards to the safety of the sprays, he had very little information. He did not do his own research. And for the person that is accountable and responsible for the sustainable forestry license, you should be doing all of that and more. Next slide, please. The oxygen depletion levels, by the way, those create dead zones in the water as well. So we're not just looking at fish, we're looking at birds, we're looking at frogs, and like I said, lose one thing, lose the rest. So it's really an ecosystem breakdown. When we lose one river or pond, we slowly start to lose the rest. And I just kind of want everyone to think about how the earth is, like with the inside to the outside, and we're sitting on the crust. Everything gets percolated down. And so the thing about pine trees, because they're mainly concerned about pine trees, is they often grow the best in sandy soils. But sand, as we all know, getting in our fingers, everything percolates down really easy in sand. It's not like clay, where clay makes a nice little buffer and holds. So it's very easily accessing into our waterways and into our aquifer. So the human health risks are huge. The contaminated water has links to cancers, endocrine disruption, and reproductive harm. And the community cost is wide because Renfrew County is also very well known for tourism. So just as well, the health of one waterway really does reflect the entire community and the county. So next slide, please. So the risks to human health. This is where I'm actually going to incorporate Stacy because she is a holistic nutritionist and she is just incredibly intelligent and very well versed. So this is just a quote from her case notes. Glyphosate does not simply disappear after they've sprayed on forests or crops. They bind to soil particles, leach into waterways, drift through the air, and eventually make their way into our food and our bodies. Research shows that glyphosate disrupts one of the pathways in bacteria. While humans don't have this pathway, our gut microbiome does. This means herbicides can alter the balance of beneficial microbes, not just within our soil, but in our bodies. And it weakens our gut barrier and increases inflammation within us, and it also impairs our immune system. So yes, we're looking at that weakened gut barrier, reduced immunity, the links to cancers. So spray drift also, it's just very common sense. If we hunt and we fish outside, we're intaking from these animals. Animals don't read signs. These animals are still going in after it's been sprayed. There's no fences up. And if you're eating from a beautiful piece of venison and it's been foraging on dead leaves that have been sprayed with poison with the intent to kill, it's not doing them any good and it's not doing us any good either. Next slide, please. So humans are not separate from nature. Like I talked about immunity, hormones. This also affects mental health, our ability to go outside and feel safe in the forest. That's huge. And Renfrew County is very special. We have the most amount of medicine makers, soap makers, foragers, and we are very lucky that that's a part of our identity. Next slide. So this beautiful bird on the bottom right is a Cape May warbler. If for those of you that don't know, Ontario is actually the funnel for migratory birds in all of Canada. So all of the migratory birds in Canada come through Ontario, and they come at the very end of summer, beginning of fall, which was when this spray took place. And so the reason that I chose the Cape May warbler is because they specifically eat insects that are on pine trees. And so when these trees are being sprayed, you cannot tell. It's not an even spray. Some are going to be getting hit harder than others. But again, these birds, the wildlife does not know any different. Next slide, please. These migratory birds are also going to be leaving and taking this poison with them, getting sick, or taking this to other ecosystems. Next slide, please. I want to just ingrain that Renfrew County has a very long history of logging, and we wouldn't be here without it. It's incredibly important. Sustainable forestry is incredibly important, and we are already making some really big footsteps into some renewable energy. That being said, I have to do a little change on this. 53% of Renfrew County's land base is Crown land, and 18 local companies work either directly with or as byproducts of forestry. Next slide. This actually shows, in all of the green spots here, all of our Crown land. And so the top left has a chunk that was already previously sprayed this past summer. But we're looking at just how much space that really is in Renfrew County and what we're trying to protect and look after. Next slide, please. So we come with alternatives. The first one is no different than a farm field. Scarcification means basically tilling it up, making some big, beautiful mounds, and planting you can plant seedlings, or you can plant slightly more mature trees. But essentially, it's preparing the soil, it makes better plantability, and we can reforest 3.7 million seedlings per year using this method, and they have a 90% survival rate. And for bush clearing, the same number on the screen, 6,000 hectares per year, is the same as what they're doing right now in Renfrew County through Ottawa Valley Forest. So it's very comparable. Next slide, please. That is also the method of Quebec, by the way, which has been successful since 2001. The second is a little more complicated, but Renfrew County has a significant amount of farmers, and I think it'd be ignorant to not share it. So sheep grazing partnerships would also incorporate a good increase, not only for farmers who might be looking to upgrade their barns. There can be some wheeling and dealing there. I'm coming with options because, like, sheep add fertility. They're adding to the soil. They're not taking away from it. They're not poisoning anything. And also, agriculture has the biggest use of glyphosate, but it's also something that needs to be added into this conversation later, because we're ingesting these things and we're looking for long-term stability in our health and in the environment. So like I said, it engages families and it strengthens the local economy. Next slide, please. The third alternative is manual brushing crews, mainly what they do now, and it creates a significant amount of employment. The other little piece I want to touch on is they do usually harvest within songbird nesting season, and so if that's actually adjusted, they could be doing some harvesting when we actually have the most local layoffs, which would be through winter. It's safer for the environment than aerial sprays, and it keeps money circulating in Ottawa Valley, not in the aviation fuel contracts, which often are outside of Canada. Next slide, please. Alternative 4, this is the most important. So the mulching equipment, we all know what mulch is. So they essentially grind everything up and then they leave all the nutrients to the forest floor. It creates healthier soil, significant job creation. It positions the Ottawa Valley to be a green forestry innovator because Ben Oakham's and Sons in, Deakin, just actually got a grant for a biomass boiler system. So they're actually going to power up all of their plant, but they're also going to produce enough electricity to power 12,000 homes. Where they are doesn't matter, but what I want you to pay attention to is that needs to be sustainable. And if they're spraying these trees and then burning that in their boiler, that's actually called effluent. That's not a renewable energy because it's not just a plain tree. It has now been sprayed, and then there's a different law abatement needs to come into play there. So yeah, we cannot call them biofuels if they're not ethically produced. That being said, I have very deep respect for moving to renewable energy. I think it's really important, but we also need to take into consideration 12,000 homes and all using our Crown land. We need to be sustainable. Success stories. British Columbia and Alberta have lots of good large-scale sheep raising programs. I did have the liberty of speaking with some really great companies in Alberta who would also be willing to help us initiate those programs here. So it also creates communities restoring biodiversity by rejecting chemicals. Next slide, please. The reason I'm here is I want to be an ally with all of the townships across Renfrew County. They've been well received so far. We just want to share responsibility for the forests and for accountability. We have a common ground that we want more jobs, a booming economy, and families. We want families to be healthy. So we've built some strong support through some petitions online. Next slide, please. But what I'm asking of council is to support the alternatives. So for the manual brushing and the mulching or the sheep grazing, but to support our petitions as well. We are really looking actually for the moratorium. We want a letter sent to the AMO and to urge a ban for glyphosate spray because there's no reason for it in forestry for sure. And I think, with farming, that's not a conversation for here right now. But we want to encourage other municipalities, but really the county of Renfrew as well, who sprays public trails where we walk our kids. Our kids pick flowers and pick raspberries off the trails, and our dogs go walking as well. So if you can host any public forums, great, or surveys. But I'm here to reflect the community voice, and thank you very much. Next slide. The closing message is just that healthy forests mean healthy people. I'm here as a mom of 4. This is necessarily I stand not just for all of the people that are here in this township. We all are avid outdoors people in Renfrew County, and this is the pivotal point. If we continue on here, there is no turning back because these chemicals stay, and nature is extremely sensitive between the fish and the birds and all of this really delicate system. We have done so much damage. We don't want to do more. We need to pull back and look at what we can change. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Charity. You certainly have a passion for it, and thank you for all the information that you provided to us tonight. Does council have any questions? Keith?
Just a comment or question, sorry. Have you made presentation, you mentioned at the beginning Health Canada supports this or
Yes.
says it's okay. Have you challenged them with the same information?
Yes, many people have. And across Canada, the glyphosate spray, especially from Nova Scotia all the way to Ontario, despite Indigenous people not giving consent, and there being numerous reasons. And even here alone in Renfrew County, they were not to spray. They're supposed to use the label instructions, and the label instructions for Timberline 360, the product they used, actually said that they're not to spray in a drought. And if you guys can consider what it was like on September 1st, we're not talking about a little drought. We were in a statewide drought, and I did send emails. Many people sent emails, and even to our sweet Billy, no one is responding to us, and they just went on without it. And that's why I'm here, because if we are not holding accountability now, we're not looking at any kind of future. It's devastating. I have 4 kids. I'm here standing for my kids that live and breathe outside, but for all of you, for all the other children that are out there, it's just devastating. So I'm here to hold accountability, to make sure that, I have the knowledge and I'm going to use it.
Okay, anybody else? I know that I did talk to our MPP a while ago when you called me in the summer, and at that point he had said Health Canada was on side with it. So I didn't go any further, but we will take your presentation with staff and we'll look into it.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Okay, down to municipal reports. CAO report. Anything for Dean? Okay, seeing none. Treasurers. Everything's good. Brian?
Sorry, I think Annie had a comment.
Annie, sorry.
I just wanted to add one thing that's not in my report because it just came out today. The consumer price index, the CPI, came out for September, the one that we use to calculate salaries for the budget. So it's at 2.4.
So that'll be incorporated in the budget.
Thank you. Brian?
I just had 2 questions. One under fire materials and operating supplies at 46,000 with a budget of 6,000. was that like a one-time, what's the cause of that at 679% over?
Is that? Well, I don't know, we would have budgeted for those, I don't know, where is it?
I think it was following some
It's
fires,
on
like
page-
cleanups.
page
Probably
19.
Morrison Fire
Oh, that's
or
probably the
something.
Morrison Fire probably, but it's under what? You said maybe it's just in the
Yeah.
wrong category.
You're getting close there now.
Fire there.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
About 5 lines down, 6 lines down.
Oh, for material and operating supplies, I don't know. To me, that's probably went in.
It's
let's
wrong
go on
column.
to- Yeah, it could be. We'll check on that, Counselor Hughley. I'm not sure exactly why that, I can't answer that. why
Because
it's
that's almost 1% of,
there. Yeah, no.
No, I would assume it's got to do with the Morrison Fire, but, because that was pretty close to the number that it
Yeah,
cost
I
us,
remember,
right?
yeah, but I'm not sure why it would be. Oh, okay, so there was, oh yeah, that's probably because there was some, when I think about it, that fire did occur and we did take some contaminated water to Ottawa, which was fairly expensive, not 40, but then we also got some backhoe operators involved because we had to knock the building down. And secondly, we had to also fence it. So there was all those costs. So it's probably to do with that, but we'll clarify that category.
oh, okay, that was one. And the other one was down under, again, water meters, 1,366% of budget. So it had a budget of 500 and we've spent 7,329. It was down near the bottom. It's coming up page 32 on the iPad.
Water, right there, the second line down.
Yeah.
Material and operating supplies, same thing. Okay. Okay, we'll get clarification and send out to council.
Okay, anything else for Annie? Okay, seeing none, Public Works. Things are winding down, Mark, kind of.
Yes, they paved Sandy Beach Road today, so there's a little bit of work to finish up on Pitt Road, but all of our paving works are essentially now complete, so still some shouldering to finish, some ditching projects that we still have on the books that some locations just came in for, so some maintenance stuff to address, but the major capital is, I'll say, significantly complete now.
Good. Al?
So, just a comment, Mark, we talked about Robinson Road and the
Yeah.
loggers, the Quebec loggers have found Robinson Road.
Okay.
They're heading that way empty. So far, they're not going that way full, but
Okay.
they're using that road empty, so.
Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on it, so, okay.
Keith?
Just a comment to congratulate Cole Hawkins for coming in second on the truck rodeo and ninth provincially. Good accomplishment. Maybe next year will be number one and once again and whatever. The other thing is I toured over 3rd Avenue and Angle Street and that area where a lot of road paving was done. It looks really good and talked to a couple of people. They're very satisfied, so.
Good. Yeah,
Congrats.
there is still some shouldering to be completed there. We have a few roads to be done. I know because the road had heaved so bad, areas, the sides are a little bit higher, so we've had all that cleared off, so Greenwood does have a bit of shouldering to be done, but I know the residents were quite happy with the finished product there, so,
Good job, thanks.
thank you.
Al?
Do we know when line painting will be complete?
We're still battling. I'm not sure. I know it's, like I mentioned that we've been a couple of years at this through the county cooperative where I know last year it was around this time they came in and we ended up with paint all over vehicles because they weren't allowing enough time for the paint to dry before the car left. We have been, or I have been meeting with staff from Pembroke and Petawawa. We're trying to meet 3 or 4 times a year. We're actually meeting tomorrow afternoon and working on our own joint cooperative tender for line painting is one of the ones we want to look at. We've always been part of the county. Pembroke and Petawawa have branched off on their own, but we're thinking we can get some better value having a contractor coming in doing all 3 municipalities. And I'll say the contractor that we're working with through the county won't be on our invited list. It's there's some issues there, and it's been too many years now of the work not being done. So the communications basically has stopped. So
You don't have to tell me about it, because at the airport, we finally bought our own equipment because it was that bad. We were under the gun from Transport Canada. We were way past, and couldn't get anybody to actually even quote on it anymore.
yeah, it's challenging.
Patty?
I see that there was a meeting on the Pleasant View Municipal Drain Update. Is there anything, how's that progressing?
Yeah, I know. Dean, you want to speak to it? Or me?
Yeah, I guess we're proceeding onwards for sure. So we've been meeting as staff and the consultant, and they're getting close to their draft report. There are they've gone through pretty well every concern that they received at the open house back, what's that, 8 months ago? I'm not even sure when that, or maybe it was a year ago, maybe it was a year ago.
Yeah, close to
Anyway, they've pretty well got through. There is going to be a couple of site visits coming up in the next little while to just adjust situations where they're not sure how to handle it. So they are going to reach out to some of the neighbors that made the comments and just clarify those. And then at that point, there will be a presentation to council with the report to show what the remedies are and the costs and who's affected and how it's affected and all the rest of it. So I would hope by year's end, we should see that report.
Al?
Do we need to mention anything about the lights at Drive-In Road? It seems that
Well,
we
got progress.
they're working at it seems
Yeah.
that way, but
Yeah.
have we got any word from the ministry that that's exactly what they're doing, or?
Yeah, so we did get confirmation. I think it's a subsidiary of Acon, that's the contractor putting them in, and that they were to be up at some time this fall. That there is a contract.
They're there working now.
Yes. Yeah.
They've dropped off 4 hydro poles as of today, I guess, or yesterday.
Oh, they've been there for.
Well, they've been there
a
for
week
a
or
few.
Well, they
been a
moved
week.
them around then.
Okay.
so. Yeah, they've moved them.
Did they?
Yeah, right in the middle of the corner. Yeah, for sure. And we did get an email through Pembroke Fire Department that being advised that they would be there for the next 2 weeks. So I
I'm
would
just
assume.
wondering, is it something that we should make a public statement that they're, if we can confirm that that's exactly what they're up to and when it would be complete? People have been waiting for this for
Definitely.
2017.
I was kind of going on the safe side and waiting to see them installed and then do it, and then do a release. But maybe we can get.
I did reach out to the MTO,
An answer.
I don't know what you call him, an NVO representative, and unfortunately I haven't got a final. He said he was gonna check in and get back, but since then I've seen some kind of, so I'll reach out again and see if I can get at least, yes, you're going ahead, but when do we see them operational? And maybe that's when we see them operational, we'll say, look for November 30th or whatever, if they can give us that.
If they can give us that, and
Yeah.
then maybe it's a case of just contacting some of the local media outlets, and I'm sure they would
Press
run
release, yeah.
with that story pretty quick if we let them know that that's what was going on.
Absolutely.
Okay. Very good point.
As you said, there's many people waiting for a very long time. So it was good to see the equipment there yesterday morning. Okay, Mark.
I'll just, Councillor Hughley, I'll add, Annie was able to pull up the waterworks, and it was some water meter repairs at Willow Drive and Karen Street. So that there was some issues with the meters, that was a repair for those.
So we'll get you the fire on.
Okay, planner, CEMC report. Big day on Thursday, Laurie?
Yes, we'll have the exercise and training, and I'm looking forward to getting that over and done with earlier this year with in conjunction with the county. So I appreciate everybody's cooperation who's attending.
So is Thursday with the county and other municipalities, or is county and us?
It will be other municipalities throughout the county that will be simultaneously working through our exercise that afternoon, and we will be joint training virtually at 11.
Okay. Also good to see that TMM is still moving forward on the subdivision behind the mall, and actually getting ready to move on to another stage, so it's great to see, and certainly the work is being done very quickly in there.
Yeah, and just to confirm for council, they actually, as a minor red line amendment, they are adjusting the number of units in phase 1 from 156 units to about 200. So that's even upped kind of the capacity in that phase 1. And we now have also had a pre-consultation on phase 2. So can look forward to that being filed fairly soon as well. So things are moving.
So phase 1 was originally 97 homes?
Well, 156 units. So,
Units, okay.
And that's
Yeah.
where sometimes, how many lots, because there might have been more than one unit, like a semi or that type of thing on each. So originally, what was draft approved was originally 156 units. That's now about 200 units. So that's how that.
Right.
kind of
And
played.
my understanding is there will be a park going in at stage 1 as well.
Well, the parkland dedication will come as part of stage 1.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of how quickly it will be kitted out, I think there have been some discussions that they might be, working with through our recreation coordinator and our CAO, just in terms of what they might provide versus what we will down the road. But again, they're using it as a selling feature as well too. So I think there'll be some interest in getting some things there soon.
Laurie, has there been any discussion all with TMM and the Pembroke Mall? I know that Pembroke Mall has said that they're very happy to see, all the construction and new growth in the area as to any type of back entrance into the mall, walking wise. Has that been discussed at all with TMM and the mall that you're aware of?
Not that I'm specifically aware of at this point. Like the connection point that for certain that we've seen is the bike and walk access that would be up through Matheson, but
Yes.
there will be, some of the stormwater pond area will be down towards the back of the mall as well too, so there might be some opportunity, but I can certainly, we will have some more meetings in the near future. I can kind of bring that question up too, if that's,
May as well bring it up now
Yep.
rather than later, right?
Yep.
And see. Keith?
Question for Lori, the next generation for 911 and the GIS update. So can you explain that process? Is it the county that looks after that?
yeah, so the interesting thing with that is at this point, the county has been looking after that, and then with the next generation 911, that's more of that's everybody's being kind of tagged with that. That's driven from like the federal level downward in terms of how that's pivoting. But yeah, there's been some interesting discussions. We're kind of more on the user and data end, but I don't know from some of the discussions if in the future there'll be a look to push some stuff down a little bit. But hopefully, again, it's a good coordinating function for the county if that's something that they can continue to provide us with assistance and enhancement with.
So you've been part of the training like up to now, or part of that?
At this point, so Brett and myself, and I think Mark as well, were on a couple of the calls just to understand the switching data needs. Because I guess, and again, I can just only give a very high-end insight into what that means. Is basically part of this is changing because they know that most people don't have landlines anymore, and for response to 911 calls, they're trying to tie it again in a different kind of locational with cell phones and also with then GIS. So this is where they're moving to actually have like every civic address tied to some GIS data. So it even means for us, why I kind of am part of this as well is because we do have the, we're part of the GIS system, and when we get subdivisions or new road plans from development, then it's to be in a certain format as well to feed in back through the county. And then Brett would be our key link here in terms of when he's assigning the civic addressing when he gets a building permit. So it's how that all coordinates with data. So it's to make it that when they do response, it's the likelihood of tying it to the proper location increases, but also recognizing that people are pinging from phones as opposed to calling from a landline where you had that connection. That's a real layman's understanding, and I can try to circulate some of the other materials that they may have sent to us.
But does the municipality actually assign a 911 number, or does that come through this whole program?
No. So the program is more about the data, but the actual assigning of the civic address to a property, that is something that Brett does. Like there's parameters that are set out by the county in terms of like how you would do your spacing and that type of thing, and then some general guidelines about, you know, if you're A, B, C, if you have multiple units. But the actual assignment of the civic address is done by Brett through the building process.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else for Laurie? Okay, seeing none, mayor's report, I don't have a written one. I've had a few meetings with staff, Nadine, et cetera, but mainly we had several meetings with the Four Seasons Trail, because we got election new committee members. Had a waste recovery center meeting, and as of January 1st, we will be seeing new products that are going to be recycled again, as in styrofoam, is being brought in as a recyclable item. We're going to be following the province, so the whole province will be mandated to recycle the same products. But I'll have more information on that. I was at Oktoberfest on Saturday for the tapping of the keg, and I can vouch that the beer was cold. And they had a great turnout and had a good time. So, yeah, that's really all I have for council for that. Give me a motion,
Yes.
Dean,
Yep. Move in second.
Wendy, and Brian.
Moved by Councillor Hewitt, second by Councillor Hughley, that the council receive the following reports from mid-September 2025 to mid-October 2025 of the regular council meeting of October 21st, 2025. CAO's report, treasurer's report, public works manager report, planner CMC report, and the mayor's report.
All in favor? Carried. Sorry, one thing I didn't mention was I was at the Four Seasons Trail some of the weekend, and certainly had fantastic weather for the Halloween, and we had great numbers out for the first weekend. So I suggest anybody who wants to come next weekend or this coming weekend that they should come early, because the lineups were very long. Anyways, moving back into mayor decisions.
Okay, I'm gonna ask Laurie to come up here. Maybe just as a preamble, so there's been a lot of work and a lot of talking and discussions and training by the ministry, municipal affairs and other municipalities. Laurie's been quite involved, and I give her credit for that. But there are some steps we're gonna try and explain quickly enough. There are some steps we need, as we talked about with Fluent. So basically, there's some direction there where, you know, the mayor can do certain things, and we'll try and explain that quickly to you if you got to read the procedure that we did, that Laurie did. It kind of explains it very well. And then from there can be directives or decisions made by the mayor, which we're gonna explain that, where we're heading with that. So maybe with that, I'll just pass the procedure over. I mean, we can go through that and we can take questions, have that discussion for now. It's basically putting things on paper. My way of looking at it is, not everybody's doing it. There's no actual legislation to say that we have to pass this procedure. We just felt that it was a good way to show council. It kind of gives you a step of what's gonna happen and how this is gonna happen. Because the next one that's gonna come from here tonight is the budget. And that one is a little more structured, where the province is considering that it is the mayor's budget, and he has some certain rules and guidelines to follow to present that to council, and we got to work through that too as well. So that'll be next meeting. We don't want to get bogged down with that one this one, but we'll just explain the directives and decisions at this point. So maybe with that, I'll just pass over to Laurie, please.
Yeah. Like Dean said, that, you know, these powers came into effect May 1st, and under the Municipal Act, Part 6.1 gives strong mayor powers to the mayor. So those powers include appointing and dismissing the CAO, to hiring and dismissing various division heads, excluding prescribed list, meaning, for example, the clerk, the treasurer, and they also can determine the organization structure of the township. The strong mayor powers also provide the mayor to be able to create committees of council, assign their functions, appoint chairs and vice chairs of the committees of council. The one prescribed method of that was that they have to be consistently solely members of council. Anybody that's a public participant that committee doesn't apply. The strong mayor powers don't apply to that. But as a prescribed committee of all members of council. Also, they were provided powers to propose the municipal budget, which Dean touched on. So there's council amendments that can be made with time frames, vetoing. The mayor can veto the amendments with the time frames prescribed by legislation, and then council has an override process. So again, that'll all be worked out in the next meeting, perhaps, and that just to kind of give a bit of a process there because it's a little bit different, and that. The main thing takeaway for the budget is that the budget should be prepared on or before February 1st. If it is not, then council, it does go back to council where it's council's budget. They can pass and approve the budget after February 1st. Other powers the mayor has is to bring matters to council that advance certain provincial priorities and can veto any bylaws passed by council that may in part interfere with the advancement of those priorities. So the priorities that were set out by province is the commitment to increasing the housing supply by 1.5 million homes by December 31st. And a lot of these powers are a lot of these are described more further in OREG 5322 and 58022. But, and then the last thing that is also provided is that the mayor can direct municipal staff, but it has to be in writing. So that's sort of it in a nutshell. The process, so it can get confusing when you're trying, well, what can I do and when can you submit something? So we worked through a process to, we sent a letter, the mayor sent a letter to the province, saying that he didn't want to use the powers, and that's fine, but at some point in time, you do have to use them to not use them, I guess is sort of the gist of it. So basically, we came up with the process that if and when the mayor decides to use, there's two things. There's a directive, and there is a decision. So maybe we should just distinguish the fact what the two differences are. And the directive is basically a formal written record of direction used by the mayor to give staff to do research and preparation of an item under the Municipal Act, Part 6.1. In certain circumstances, this may also include directions to carry out duties to implement those decisions. Mayor directives are used to direct staff or council on how to carry out the specific actions that align with those priorities, and it's usually mainly the housing and infrastructure priorities. Mayor directives are generally made public, although there's no the confusion part of that is the legislation doesn't prescribe that they have to be publicly placed, but decisions are. So a mayoral decision is a formal written record of decision made by the mayor under the Municipal Act to exercise one of the prescribed powers under the legislation. So example, appointment of a committee to veto budget-related actions, and the decisions are formal decision. The mayoral decisions are generally records of decisions regarding governance and policy and are required to be in writing, circulated to council, and made public within 24 hours of being issued. So the process that we just came up with was, just sort of when the mayor decides to use that, how he's going to do that. So we would start with delegating, if he wants to delegate any of the duties, for example, he will advise the clerk in an email of his intention to exercise the strong mayors. And then this can be, an MDE can only be issued by the mayor in accordance with the duties. It's not something that can be delegated to other members of council. And we'll have a template that's created where we would simply reference the legislation that it pertains to. There'd be a date, a signature, and what the intention is. The mayoral decision is to delegate the authority to appoint committees to council, for example. That would be a decision. And then they'd be numbered, we'd have a database of them, and they'd be posted on the website. Directives are similar in that sense, in that they would, they have to be in writing, but they don't have to be made public. And we do have to remember in any of these that we have to be careful of the Privacy Act too. So if there's something that's confidential, they can't be posted on the website. So we just, so just keeping that in mind. Is there any questions on the process at all? I know it's a lot.
More of a comment, and I'm sitting here the same way I was 2 months ago. I don't agree with it. I really think we need to push back on the province. There's directives and whatever, okay? But again, in our municipality, we're in good shape. We can look around the county right now, and we can see what strong mayor's power are already doing to some municipalities, and it really scares me. Where a municipality in one election could be destroyed. And we've seen that in the not so distant past. Okay, without strong mayor's powers, what one election can do to a municipality. My concern is that if you get the wrong mayor in that has the wrong attitude, and he manages to get 2 council members on his side, well, the rest of council is done. There's nothing we can do. Our powers are finished. It's the destruction of democracy in rural municipalities in the province of Ontario is my feeling on it. If the mayor has 2 councillors with him and we want to override him, we don't have the power to do it because we don't have enough the numbers. And I think that's the biggest issue that's wrong with this. And again, I want to stress that there's a lot of municipalities that this is not going to affect. It's water under the bridge and it'll move forward and there'll be no issues. But all it takes is one election or a mayor with a bad attitude, okay, and that municipality can be destroyed. And that I'm sorry, but that really scares me. And I believe I was elected to represent the residents of our municipality, and I think the province of Ontario is trying to stop me from representing the people in our municipality.
Okay, any other comments? Any other?
Keith?
I agree somewhat with what Alan said, that yes, that certainly is a possibility. But what we're dealing with right now is what has come down from the province to the municipalities. And I think I read through this document 3 times since we received it. And I think it's very well put together and explains it very, very well. I think a great job has been done by our staff and the CAO in getting this together. And I think it sets up the premise, and just our strong council here is going to take place, and hopefully have new council come in that is just going to be as strong. Hopefully.
That's really the issue. And please don't get me wrong. You did a great job. I'm not saying anything against the staff here. Our staff are fantastic. I'm concerned about the entire process of the strong mayor's powers, okay? Yes, it's been shoved down our throat from the province and we have to deal with it some way, somehow. And I don't know how we can push back harder or stronger to the province because, to be honest with you, it's just really poor legislation.
I think really it's going to come more to the forefront before the next election, our municipal election, where people are going to get even more scared that they can be now, because as Alan said, anybody could be elected and make the promises they want, but whatever I do tonight or tomorrow night, I can change my mind the next day anyways. So there's no guarantee or stability that a mayor can change their mind. I think as everybody gets into what we're doing and understanding the consequences more and more, possibly there'd be more conversations with the province as to how they can regulate some of these rules. But for the time being, Alan, I hear you clearly, whatever, but for the time being, we gotta try and do our homework the best we can and put ourselves in the right place.
And maybe I'm just gonna add, yeah, it's legislative, and we didn't even need to do this, but we felt, and Lori's done a lot of work with this, and I agree with Keith, it was very well done, and she did a great job, and I just wanted to make sure, we need to make sure that this is the process, we have to follow the process, as we know, unfortunately, we're a whatever you want to call it, a product of the province, and to answer your question, we sent them the notice. A lot of municipalities have sent them strong words that they don't agree with the legislation. There is no sign of back down, not one bit, not one iota or whatever. So we need to play within the parts. So yes, we're comfortable here. We have a great council, and I think the mayor's got the right attitude. He's going to tell you what he's planning to do here shortly and put it in writing and all that kind of stuff. We're following the rules. The budget is going to come down. It's his budget. That's not to say that you won't have input. Council does have input, but in the end, it's a decision of his, and it's, not product of, yes, there's a lot of concern of losing democracy and how that works, but right now we have to play within the rules, and we're trying to make them as clear as possible so people understand what we're doing. It's all transparent. There's no hidden values. If the mayor changes his mind, it's his prerogative. He will do that, and then I can see where Alan and a lot of council members will not be happy, but it's happening in the county, as you mentioned. We can look down on neighbors, and it's happening now. Whether it's right or wrong, I'm not here to say it. I just know it's a regulation of the province. We need to try and work through it. Maybe they'll change it. Maybe they'll make it worse. Maybe they'll make it better. I don't know. But at this point, I think that we need to act amongst ourselves now, try and make it work within the legislation, because the province isn't backing down at this point.
Al?
And I agree 100% with you, Dean, and all as I'm saying is
Yep.
yes, we need to deal with it. It's been shoved down our throats. We need to deal with it. I agree 100%. But I don't want to stop pushing back on the province, because once you stop pushing back, then they're going to say, well, we won, and let's move on, let's do something else, okay?
Yep.
I think we need to be very vocal about this, and I honestly feel that it's going to take the destruction of some municipalities before the province opens its eyes and said, this is a bad idea. And unfortunately, that's what has to happen for people to change their mind. It's like highways and that, then you have to have so many accidents, so many people killed before somebody steps up and does something. And I think this is just another one where you're going to have a bunch of municipalities get destroyed because of this, and somebody's going to wake up and say, oh, this was a bad idea. So I don't think we have to work through it. I agree with you 100%. And again, this has been very well done, and that's all well, fine and good, but I think we still need to push back very vigorously to the province that this is really, really poor legislation.
And I think we'll hear more as Dean and Laurie work with other municipalities, the frustration coming out of their councils as well. So I think something, more will be done, hopefully down the road. Laurie, before we move forward, that one correction we should probably advise council of?
Yeah, so on the first page of the procedure, number 1, under the purpose, should say to govern the use of mayor directives, which would be MDI, and decisions would be MDE. I just had them backwards.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll correct that.
So we'll correct that so it's consistent throughout the document.
So what we're doing, I'm asking for a resolution to adopt that procedure at this meeting, and then from there, then the mayor will announce what he's planning to do with regards to a couple of situations here and put them in as a directive, so.
Keith and Betty?
Moved by Reeve Watt, second by Councillor King, that the council approve the standard operating procedure processing mayoral decisions and directives in principle.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, so I have 2 decisions. The first one is, and I will be delivering these 2 decisions to the clerk tomorrow, as per the legislation, to delegate the powers regarding certain chief administrative officer and committee matters to the Township of Laurentian Valley Council. And the second one, decision to delegate the powers regarding employment matters to the chief administrative officer, clerk, CAO.
So basically, that's the same things as we're doing now, so council will have the same authorities, and I mean, maybe you can read the 5 bullets, just the bullets
Okay.
just saying what they are.
So again, delegate the powers regarding certain chief administrative officer and committee matters, whereas I don't know how to say that. The power to appoint or dismiss the chief administrative officer, the power to determine the organization structure of the municipality, the power to appoint, establish, or dissolve committees, the power to appoint chairs and vice chairs of committees, and the power to assign functions to committees. So those are the 5 under that decision.
That's for the council, that's for council.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then the one for the CAO, to delegate powers regarding employment matters, to delegate the powers of the mayor under section 284.6, to hire, dismiss, or exercise any other prescribed employment powers with respect to the head of any division or head of any other part of their organizational structure to the Township of Laurentian Valley, CAO/clerk, except for the statutory limitations in subsection 234. This mayor decision comes into effect, I guess, October 21st, and remains in effect until modified or revoked.
So those are directives that shows that basically what the mayor's planning to do, which is in this case the same as we've had in the past. And a no preconceived notion, he wakes up tomorrow, the mayor does have the power to change it, but that's where, we gotta work with what we got.
Well, and I guess that's the caveat at the end until it's changed.
Yeah,
That's-
it's
that's
unfortunate.
That's at the end.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah, I mean, we could put a date, but we can't put a date either because it can be changed and it doesn't hold water, so. We're working within the
As of
legislation,
today.
it's, so,
again, we're very lucky
Yeah,
as a
no, I-
municipality of who we have sitting around the table right now. And it just scares me that, we're a little bit more than a year out from an election, and there's definitely going to be changes around in the county, and
you never know. Well, and you said it right, Councilor Wren, there are some challenges right now. It's happening and it's not very pretty, so hopefully those, I mean, I don't wish ill will against any of my colleagues, but hopefully those kind of straighten the legislation out.
if you're ever looking for any more information on the legalities of this, our solicitor is very involved in one municipality right now, and he's done quite a bit of research on this bill and on how it all works. So if you ever want any legal advice on that, he's very well versed.
Okay.
Alrighty,
Okay, thanks. Okay.
move on to sale and disposition of land, 5.
Okay,
76 per hour.
so this, I know we've been having some discussions with regards to the building, which is the old fire hall. I'll refer to as 576 Brewham Avenue, the old fire hall. There has been some discussions that we're not using it. It's in need of repair. We don't really want to repair it because we're not using it. So the concept here is, recommendation is to possibly declare it surplus and sell it off. So if that's the case, what would take place if council agrees that that's what they want to do, declare it surplus? We'll proceed onwards. What would we do is we'd advertise and accept tenders, closed bid tenders by a certain date, advertise, and anybody who wanted or was interested would basically submit a tender, and we would take the highest bid based on conditions, if there's any, but there shouldn't be any, but take the highest bid. So that's the process. Just a preamble to that, a couple of things we would like clarified for the ad is, one, do we want a minimum bid, or are we just gonna let it wide open, let it go? And two is, what timing do you see it? Because if we do it now, we declare it surplus, which we can declare, but when would we do the tenders? So if we do the tenders, we're probably looking at closing, you need to do 3 or 4 weeks, I think it says right in the policy, eh? 4 weeks advertising? Yeah, so we would give a month, so if we declared surplus today, we would probably do the ad, say by the end of October, get it out, we'd be all in November, so the bids would be coming in like December 1st-ish. Is that the right time? Do you want to wait into the new year and do it then and get it done like February-ish? Is it a better time for bids and people to look at it? We would also have likely one in the ad, there would be one time, set time of a given day that anybody who wanted to come into the building and take a look, we would be there for a couple hours. They could come and look at it. We are not going to be running down there every second day showing them the building. So that's kind of the thing. So I think first things we need to talk about first is that the wishes of council is to dispose of it or declare it surplus so we can dispose of it. And then if that passes, then I would ask the council on a quick discussion on the minimum bids, if we need that and what it is, and I can add some preamble to that in a second.
Okay, Jennifer first, then Brian, then Jennifer, or then Betty.
Whose equipment and trucks are in there right now?
In the yard, I think, it must have been the pavers in the yard, I think, eh? They're probably going shortly, maybe marking out.
Yeah, so Greenwood is parked in the yard because they're working in the area, and they've just parked there. So we'd like them to move them because we do have a couple of things stored in there that we need access to, so we're trying to work that out with them. But they have a paving job nearby, I guess, and they've used the yard, so.
So the building's not empty right now?
Pretty close.
Inside the building, is there much in
Yeah,
it?
we just have a waterworks trailer and a generator parked in there, but they will come back out here. Yeah.
Okay. I totally agree, surplus, but you totally have to, I would say, put a minimum
Okay.
on there for sure.
Okay.
And January and February would seem like the best time to do it.
Okay, so can we just maybe do the motion to declare surplus first? So mover by Jennifer Gauthier, seconded by
Brian?
Hughley. Okay, so the council deemed, moved by Councilor Gauthier, second by Councilor Hughley, that council deemed the property legally described as Lot 52, Plan 401 in the geographic township of Stamford, Township of Laurentian Valley as surplus lands, and direct staff to initiate public notification process for the purposes of disposal of land surplus to the municipality needs and outlined in this report.
Any further discussion on that motion? See none, all in favor? Carried.
Okay,
So, yeah, so maybe I'll just jump in for a minute, the conversation Dean and I have had. So, I totally agree, minimum bid, and Dean will get into the price in a minute. My suggestion was that we do it right away, because if we do get to sell it this year, that money could be used towards a budget of next year, rather than waiting. We know it's gonna go up for sale. We don't know what kind of weather, winter weather we're gonna have. That could do anything to that building that maybe is not on solid ground right now. So I think sooner the better, and maybe Alan will take your comments and then we can get into the minimum. Brian?
I was just thinking, it was on the minimum bid aspect of it, like it's no service to our residents to sell it off for 50,000 or 20,000. There should be a minimum of 100 or 120, I think.
Okay, well, I can get into this a little bit more information. Just going back to the timing, let's just stick with that for a second here.
I'm going to be on your next comments with my comments, but
Okay.
I kind of agree with the mayor that, like, I don't know why wait. I would say, if we're gonna sell it, let's get it out there, because all of a sudden, we wait till January, February, and somebody says, ooh, I bought a piece of property, I would have taken that one instead. You know what I mean? Like, the sooner the better, I think, that you get it out there.
Okay. Patty?
Okay, my first time going through this whole bid thing. So how, do you get an estimate? Do you get it,
Okay.
like, on how the
We're
pricing
gonna
works?
give that now.
Thank
No, that's a
you.
good point.
That's
Yeah.
that's
Okay,
where I was
very good.
kind of confused how that
So-
works.
Yeah, so part of the process is that we needed to get an appraisal, which we did. We got it done, I think it was probably earlier in the year, and I'll confirm that the appraised value came in at, done by a registered appraiser, Rivington and Associates did the appraisal, because at the time, we weren't sure if it was better with the building on it or demolished and just a lot, but I'm happy to say that the property itself was valued at 65,000, and the property with the building is valued at 150, is what they're saying. So somewhere in there, I mean, that's where I see the minimum bid, so.
So the only thing I would suggest is with Rivington, they're the only company that's left, okay? In my personal opinion of them in the last little while, I would really like to get a second opinion from a real estate agent on what they think the property would be worth. Rivington may be registered in the whole bit, but our dealings with them at the airport were not good. They undervalued a piece of property for us by more than 50%, and basically told us, well, we'll just agree to disagree.
Yeah, but I guess the key here, though, is that we're only gonna put a minimum bid on. It's a closed tender, so people are gonna bid what they think is worth, and we're gonna be comfortable with the amount. If we think, in the end, if we think 50 is enough, if we sell for it, as Councilor Yuga said, no. If we think 200 is enough, then put 200, but we may not get a bid, too, so we gotta watch, I guess that, it doesn't the appraiser's only given us a value that we're not, so we don't get undervalued, like way undervalued. It gives you an idea of what it's worth. So the question here is, what is, now we know what that is, what is the comfort level? What are we willing to sell for? If we get one bid and it's that amount, what are we selling it for?
What is the property size?
I knew you were gonna ask me that, I didn't bring it with me. It was 6,300 and some square feet. 6,300 and some square feet, so what
And
is
the
that?
building is, what did you say?
14, 17.
60 by 100.
Yeah, 60 by 100, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So, and the building's about 1,700 square feet.
Right.
Needs work, though, the building is not, whatever, that's.
I don't think you're buying for the building.
Yeah,
You're buying for the
it's
lot.
not very big, that's the problem, that kind of curtails it.
Pardon me?
Size of a city lot.
And it's service, right?
Yeah, it's serviced, it's in the report.
It's a service with municipal water, but there's no sanitary service there. There's the ability to put one in, but it does need some infrastructure to make the sanitary work.
And gas, do we know gas, did we find that out?
Yeah, there is natural
gas.
gas into the building as well.
So, council can put a reserve bid on it. I would assume, like, if we could walk away with 100, I think I'd be satisfied, but if you wanna go higher or lower, it's up to you guys. But we
And
gotta-
again, they're
we gotta
competing
get
against themselves, because nobody knows what the other bid is, as long as we get
Right.
more than one.
Any contaminants there that we're aware of, chemicals?
Not that we're aware of, and and again, that would be on, we're not holding any of that back, but we're not aware of any, no. That would be their responsibility, gentlemen. Councilor Goche, I'll go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna answer a piece, it was noted in the report, this from our report, that a detailed soil analysis by a qualified professional would be required to make a definitive determination of the
That's
site.
why
load
it's
bearing.
up to their responsibility, we're
Okay,
not doing
it's
that.
not us. Okay, that's your answer.
So, has anyone looked into what a lot is going for?
Do you have your mic on?
Yeah,
Okay. Go ahead.
what a lot is going for. Has anybody looked into that? Maybe we should find out how much a lot is going for these days, and that's what we're hoping to. I was thinking more 75 to 80,000 is for a
Remember, there's
lot
no
these
sewer
days.
on it, there's no sewage on it, so that's kind of a bit of a stumbling block, right? There's water, but there's no sewage.
And you'd have to remove the building.
Not necessarily.
Right.
Do you have your mic on, Brian? Do you have your mic on?
Yeah. I think, Councilor, you would have.
Wendy?
Just because I've never been a part of anything like this neither. When you sell such a property, is the money designated to be used for a specific purpose, or is it just gone into a pot to be used however?
And we'd put it in the reserve and.
Okay.
Most of it goes to Dean's bonus at the end of the year,
Yeah,
but,
that'd be good.
no, we could do it.
It's not like, if it was parkland, then that money has to go into parks, but the building does not have to go into building.
Betty, did we answer your original questions?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, you have, thank you. Just,
Okay.
like I said, being new to this part of the process, first time going through this, yes, thank you.
Now, just for thought, if we did go to another real estate agent to get an opinion, that's just gonna delay it 2 more weeks,
Well,
right?
it is, and I don't know what value in the sense of, you're putting a reserve bid on it. So I mean, if you're not comfortable with the amount, I mean, they've given you 150. I honestly think 150 is too much, but whatever, if the council thinks it's not, it isn't, then put 150. If we get the bid, we get 150. If we don't get a bid, we don't get it. But if you wanna sell it, you put it lower, they're gonna bid against each other, and to what extent, I don't know what it's worth to somebody. It's only worth what, it's only worth,
What's
that it's
that?
worth to somebody, right? So,
But you don't have to get a real estate agent to go in and do a huge big thing on it.
Oh, no.
If we were gonna list this with you, what would you list it for?
Yeah.
Okay? And so they basically give you that in probably a half an hour.
Yeah.
They go and look at the building and say, yeah, in this area, this is what it's probably worth. Well, then that gives you a little bit better idea what maybe the minimum bid should be.
Cause this Rivington, and I know we talked about that, they've done comparables, they're looking at comparables, and it's hard to get a comparable for that particular building in that lot. But it is, but I mean, I certainly can ask the real estate agent, if that's what council just says, you know, ask the real estate agent, whatever he says is the minimum bid, then I'll put it down if that's what you want. Doesn't
Jennifer.
matter to me.
I know quite a few, if you don't know.
Oh, I
anyone.
know lots of them.
Okay.
They're a dime a dozen.
I don't
like
think we're gonna be 2
We're
weeks.
sheety when we need them.
No, it won't take long, but I mean, it's,
No, I
but
kinda agree with Dean, like, if it's gonna sell, it's gonna sell. I think we need to decide on,
what are we comfortable with?
what are we comfortable letting it go for?
So I guess the question is, do you put the minimum bid at 60% of what the value is, or,
Whatever.
you know, just as a starting point, so we're not super lowballed, or 75%, or, you know, pick a percentage number in there?
But
And then-
everybody's
then we
value
can
could be
proceed
different.
without having to have another meeting.
Everybody's value is different, right? So Rivers is 150, then real estate comes in at 100, or,
Well, if you do,
I think I'd be more comfortable just putting a minimum bid in, but again, it's council's wishes.
see, 75% of 150 is 112. So we're back to the 100. Yeah.
Patty?
I think with the property where it's located, what's around it, what the possibility of that property is, I don't know if you're gonna get somebody to put a house on it. I think if we went in with like 100,000 as a reserve bid, and I think you'd be doing great at that.
Jennifer?
So if we go in with 100 bid, we get no bids, then this building's just standing still there. What
Then we're
doing
starting
with
over.
Starting over.
Put a
doing-
sale
Starting
sign
over,
on it.
or we might be able, at that point, we may be able to get into a real, I'd have to check the next steps, and we tried at something, we might be able to just put a for sale sign saying, you know, 75,000 and hopefully get it. We might be able to do that at that
Or
point.
get
I'd
rid of the
check.
building and try again.
Or get rid of the building and try again, or go back out and lower the reserve and start over. I mean, there's all kinds
I
of.
really think that, like, I know rumors have it that there are people interested, because they know we're gonna put it up for sale. We've been talking about it for quite a while. So I think we'll get some interest in it. And worst comes to worst, we've lost nothing by trying to sell it at a reserve bid.
I put a motion, 100,000, minimum bid.
I'll just get direction, that's what I'm asking, is direction. So council puts up 100, I will put it in the tender, and we'll have a reserve bid of 100, if that's comfort level of council. If you want, I can make a phone call tomorrow before I do that, and get a real estate to say, what do you think a reserve should be, or where do you think it should sell for? And if it comes in at 100, everything's good. If it comes in at 50, then I gotta go back to you.
Okay. Let's
Is
do
that what you wanna do that? Is everybody comfortable with
Yeah,
that?
Just to find out, to make
Yeah.
sure that we're not out to lunch. None of us are real estate agents,
No,
right?
no.
None of us know what
No.
property is selling.
Mike,
Is selling for in the area. So all I'm saying is, let's get somebody that's a professional, that says, okay, yeah, 100, yeah, you're probably good, or, you know, you're out to lunch, you know, it's never gonna happen.
So could we then have Dean make the call? If we're in the ballpark, we'll just continue with the 100. Can you give, say, Dean and I direction to make, if the number comes out slightly different, then you give us the approval to go ahead and set the reserve bid. Council good with that? That way we don't have to wait 2 weeks until we get on the market.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
I think that's it, eh?
Yeah, just note and file.
Note and file.
Oh, no, council acknowledgement, sorry.
Sorry, yeah, Council's not, it's just.
Sorry, yeah, that's it for that.
Al.
So just, I guess, everybody knows about the wildfires that we've been having over the last couple of months in the area, and how good a job our local fire departments plus the Ministry of Natural Resources have done. Just to add to that, we own an airport that allowed Ministry of Natural Resources to attack those fires locally and not having to fly hundreds of miles to another base and then back to drop water on them. So just to add the airport into that we own an airport that allowed that to be fought locally and therefore allowed those fires to get put out a lot quicker.
And maybe I'll just go a step further. Dean, the second fire that the township had last Wednesday, Dean and I went out Thursday morning to see our fire crew at work, and we got a committed volunteer fire group. These guys fought the first fire on Sunday, Monday, back out on Wednesday for the second fire. We were on the B trail of the not the Algonquin Trail, but the B trail, and that's where the fire truck was filling our bucket full of water, and they were going in 250 feet with the single hose, and then spidered it off once they got in there. And we had how many? 10 guys there? 12 guys there on a Friday. Pretty committed. So hats off to those guys, and if you see any of them, just tell them thank you. Keith?
So are these costs all township costs? Or is there anything from the province?
No, well, I have made a request to meet with MPP Deno, because the M&R costs are the ones that are, like the rest of, the fire on the B Trail is all ours, that will be ours, so it's, we fought that, that's not that bad, but the M&R one, we have an agreement with M&R for their firefighting crew, but all it helps us cover is the mobilization costs is covered by the province, but when they're on scene, the men fighting the fire and the airplanes are a cost of us at this point. So we're gonna question that just to see if we could. If it was Crown land, it would have been different. It wasn't Crown land, it was county land, so it's private land in our case. Which we may write a letter to them as well, just to see. I know Chief Sutcliffe did meet with Mrs. Rose, I believe. She came out, she's the forestry girl. But just to give you an idea, the water bombers, there was 2 of them. They came 4 hours each, and they're $4,000 an hour. So that was $8,000 an hour times 4. That was $32,000 for the planes itself, flying over the drop water. But we needed it. There was no questions about it. It needed to happen or we were going to have a catastrophe. So yes, it's a cost to us at this point. Hopefully somebody will help us out. I'm not really that convinced, but we'll do some squealing and ask the question. But and then they did have some M&R fire personnel too, which were very helpful as well. You asked the chief. They know how to do it. As a matter of fact, there was a point where we were kind of in there. It was pretty near a kilometer in from a road, so we had to go a kilometer before we fought. So it was pulling water out of a pond a kilometer away and bringing it out. And they were running out of hose, and they got helicopters. The M&R brought helicopters in, hovered over, dropped the hose bags down so the guys could spread the hose. And so that's their business. They understand it, but they cost money. And that's, unfortunately, that's our cost at this point. So we'll see if we can ask the question.
Yeah, for sure. And I did speak to our MPP Billy on Saturday and kind of passed on our thoughts that, for sure we got to fight the fire and we do everything we can, but it's not our land, and we should have an agreement with M&R that we shouldn't have to pay for the water bomber. So I do believe that That was one of 3 fires late last week. There was Calabogie, there was one in Killaloe,
Yeah.
and I think the water bombers were used in Calabogie
Yeah, I think so.
as well. So he's looking into it, as Dean said, and we're gonna meet with him and see if we recoup some of the water bomber costs down for sure. Because there's no insurance, unfortunately.
Everybody was quite impressed though with the water bombers coming over, the way that works. That's quite a process. And they did knock on doors of people in the area to say, either stay indoors or get out. Because if this water comes in at the height it's coming and the volume of water it's dropping, it can injure some people. So they know what they're doing. I mean, it's just a costly venture.
Not their first rodeo.
No.
And both of those bombers went back each night to Sudbury.
Oh, yeah.
Were serviced at night and were back in the morning.
Yeah.
Betty?
Do we know how, or has it been told what started most of these? Was it just lightning or
Don't know.
people?
No, they don't know, especially the one off of the beach trail. It was in the middle of nowhere where nobody is in there. It's just odd, and there was no lightning, so we don't really know. The other one, there's enough traction with cabins and stuff, people walking, hunting and stuff. Maybe you'd see that, but the other one you wouldn't necessarily, but no, there was no.
Lots of times it can just be a piece of glass and the sun
Yeah,
shine on it.
True enough, yeah.
And gets grass hot and everything is just so dry that up it goes, right? And there's a little bit of wind and.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Alan said, it's so dry. But like this fire, Dean walked in and like, you're right in the middle of the forest, so who knows how they get started. You can see something maybe just off the trails or whatever, but these are kind of, I would say chalk it up to a very dry fall. Is really what it is. Hey, anything else, council? See none? Dean?
Note and file, I guess.
Alan and Jennifer?
Moved by Councillor Wren, second by Councillor Gauthier, that the items not specifically addressed by motion of the council in a regular council meeting of October 21st, 2025 be noted and filed accordingly.
All in favor? Confirm?
Confirmatory.
Confirmatory by law. Brian? Keith?
Moved by Councillor Hughley, second by Reeve Watt, that be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Laurentian Valley approves confirmatory bylaw 2025-10-036 as having been introduced, read as first, second, and third time, and the said bylaw be numbered and signed by the mayor and the clerk and sealed with seal of the corporation this 21st day of October 2025.
All in favor? Carried. Adjournment? Betty and Wendy?
Moved by Councillor King, second by Councillor Hewitt, that the regular council meeting of October 21st, 2025 be adjourned at 6:50 PM.
All in favor? Carried. 4 more games for the Jays. I'm sure everybody's watching. Thank you and good night.